How's it going there, guys? Today's tutorial, workflow, whatever you want to call it, is going to be focused on speed, efficiency, and really confidence in your processing. If you want to follow along in tandem using whatever you would like, actually, I think it would still be mostly applicable. Just check the link in the description box down below and you can download this exact data set which we captured over the course of a few live streams and work in tandem with me. So let's make a start. Now, if you dragged those icons in and they didn't appear for you, it's just a screen resolution issue. You're going to need to right click an empty area and click arrange icons and they will pop up for you, and then just to pull them wherever appropriate. I'm going to select one of these channels just to start with. So I'm going to go with hydrogen, click window and tile, and that's going to make everything visible for us quite neatly. Now you can see I've got a finished image there just as a reference for you. This is one possible outcome from processing. I'd love to see what you guys make. So if you want to show off your work and have it looked at on a future upcoming live stream, then do submit your results to the Discord in the link down below. But as we're going to be getting a fresh result from this in a moment, I will go ahead and just work on these as is. So I'm going to open up STF to start with and going through each individual image. I'm going to click the little nuke icon and make the whole image visible for us so we can assess the problems within it. You can see there's some stacking artifacts straight away that we're going to have to work on. So let's deal with those first in this process. So I'm going to go to dynamic crop on this thing. If I could click accurately, just drag in from the corners until we've successfully gotten rid of all of those stacking artifacts. We don't want any of them at all. Drag the little arrow from the window of dynamic crop there to the other two first, and then hit the tick. Now all three channels are cropped to the exact same common area. The next problem I can see in this is that while the hydrogen and the sulfur channels on the top right there have no visible gradients in them really at all, they look absolutely perfect to me. I can see a bit of a gradient in the oxygen. It's not bad, but it is there. A bit of a brightening to the center and a darkening in the top left, top right, as well as a slight brightness to the bottom mid also. That's what I'm seeing. So we're going to tackle that. A couple of ways you could do this. If you have GrAxpert, Toolbox, GrAxpert, have a go with that. If you would like, I'm going to demonstrate just a different way to do it, which is going to be basically multi-scale gradient correction within PixInsight. It's really a great tool if you want to have a go at using it. I found it can rescue some really difficult to work with data. So in order to use it, I'm going to make sure I've got the oxygen selected in this case. We go to astrometry, image solver, and this should all be populated with you for you already with data from the FITS header. I'm going to go ahead and run, and we should come to a solution in just a moment with any luck. I will keep this running live for you so you can see just how fast this can be done. Hopefully we don't get stuck at any point. But now that's finished, we can go ahead and use spectrophotometric flux calibration in narrowband filters mode. Now, it actually was taken with like a 6.5 nanometer filter. I really don't think it's going to matter too much for this. By all means, change it if you would like, but I'm just going to run it at defaults. Next up, I'm going to run multi-scale gradient correction. Now, this can be an iterative process where you're going to need to apply, have a look, did it work? If not, undo, try again with different settings. Quite often the one that I would jump to first in order to try and get an effective gradient removal would be gradient scale. Let's just try at defaults and see what we come up with. And if we just run an STF on the gradient model, you can see it's not bad actually. And if we undo with Control Z and Control Y to redo, undo, redo, see it's actually gotten rid of that gradient right away. So no further messing needed. We've got 3 channels prepared for combination at this point. Now you could run BlurXTerminator on these individually, or to be a bit more efficient, you instead go to process, channel management, channel combination, and combine them first and then run it all together. That's altogether a better way to do it really. And as you can see, we've got the RGB channels. We're going to map those to SHO. So all that means is in the red, we're going to put sulfur. In the green, we're going to put hydrogen, and we're going to put oxygen in that blue channel. Apply global. We're going to run another STF You can see this is going to look a little bit wonky at this point, but if you just untick the little chain link icon right there and run your SDF again, it's going to just be a little bit more representative of the underlying data. I'm just minimizing the other 3 channels there. We probably aren't going to need them, but I will leave them open just in case we want to go back and try anything again at any time. I won't be doing on this tutorial, but it's a good habit. No need to close things that you don't 100% need to close right now. So as I said, next up we're going to run BlurXTerminator, my favorite part of the whole thing. So I'm going to zoom in on a good representative area, some nice bright stars, some mid-value stars, and some very faint ones too. Just going to run it at defaults and basically see what it comes up with. This is, as I said, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole processing workflow at this point. I finally see that data that I've worked hard for come to life at this phase. And if you just show you, undo and redo there a few times, you can see the effect that has had. It's sharpened up non-stellar regions, so the actual nebula itself and the stars really been pulled into shape rather beautifully, I have to say. So next thing along, I'm not actually going to apply NoiseXTerminator yet. I find that just lately I find it works a bit better applied to nonlinear data. So I'm going to stretch it ahead of time. Now there's a couple of ways you could do this. If you want to use the HT stretch unlinked tool, you could go ahead and apply that. At this point, just drag and drop and it will stretch your data for you. Other than that though, I'm going to do it with generalized hyperbolic stretch and just run through manually, and I'll talk you through what exactly it is that I'm doing. So with this window open and still with the image stretched with SDF, I'm going to select a nice background area. It's easy to do while the image is SDF stretched, and send that to the symmetry point. Now you can cancel that SDF, open up a preview window and begin your stretch by using the stretch factor slider. So I'm going to pull it across, keeping an eye on that preview window. What you're really looking for is for most of the nebula to become visible, but not blown out like this. You can also see, looking at the histogram representation in that generalized hyperbolic stretch window, what's happening to your data. So when this peak broadens effectively, we've got more of that data visible. It's starting to break down and become kind of stepped. So we'll kind of peel it back a little bit at that point. We've got a quite thick representation right there. That's going to be absolutely fine. Now I'm going to punch in using the preview zoom tool there. I'm just going to drag a small box over where we looked at before. It's got a good sample of stars within it, and you can see that these brighter stars are very much blown out really. If I punch in a little bit closer still on those, you'll see what I'm talking about. So if I now, with the local intensity slider, just drag across to the right, you see I could go too far and the stars look like quite cool, but when you really look at what's gone on, a lot of those variances between them have been lost somewhere along the way. So these brightest stars are now a little bit closer to the value of the rest of the stars, and we don't really want that. We want to know more about those stars, and inevitably the brightness of them is part of that story. So don't go overboard really with local intensity, because you'll also at the same time nuke the amount of nebula visible in your shot. This is quite conservative application. I think that looks good, and the stars at that point I would probably be mostly happy with. So I'm going to change the transformation type now after a reset to linear, and you can see this huge void of unused area at the back side of the histogram. I'm going to set my black point by dragging across the left hand slider. So again, focusing just on efficiency. I want to get this done really in one confident move. That looks good to me. Nothing's clipped. We know it's not clipped. You can see no low clip being populated there. Go ahead and apply. I won't be stretching this any further using generalized hyperbolic stretch at this point, so I'm going to move on now to the next phase of processing. So for me, I'm going to pull these stars out of the shot. I'm quite happy with them. As I said, I don't really want to do anything else with them. But before I do that, I'm going to NoiseXTerminate the whole image. So I'll run that, and you can see the effect that this is going to have. So this is again just run completely at defaults. We're 10 minutes into this now, and we're really only a few minutes away from finishing. You can see just undo, Control Z, Control Y. You can see the effect that that has had. Really a fantastic tool. Now that it's noise exterminated, we're going to take those stars out, use generate star image and unscreen. It's always best to screen your stars. It's going to overall look that much better. And there are some little tools right there that I've included for you. I just made some rescreening math. You can just drag on the top using the basic rescreening formula. That's all there is. It's just turned into drag and drop formula, if you like. So now that's finished, we've got two individual images. We've got our stars and our starless, all looking good at this point. Now, obviously, it's just dominated by green, so I'm going to use narrowband normalization now to actually work on this thing and pull it into shape. So I'm going to create a preview, reset the tool, open up SHO mode on the palette selection right there, and you can see it's looking pretty damn swish already at this point. Take a hold of each of these sliders. If you're unsure of what they're going to do, just drag them across and have a look at what changes. So we can see the sulfur boost does add some of those copper tones that we want. It's going to turn it from that kind of bicolor appearance of just yellows and blues to having another tone added to it, which is great. Oxygen boost, I certainly think it could stand a bit of an oxygen boost right there. I'm not going to say no. And SCNR, be careful with this one. You can end up nuking some of the other further tones out of your image, such as yellow is going to go as you start to do that, as it does lessen those green values at the same time. But as I can't really see it having much of an effect, I'm just going to leave it mainly alone at this point. And with just a final little tweak, I'm about happy with overall narrowband normalization on that shot. It's looking close. You can see there's some purple cast crept into this image, and you can just tackle this with Control and I to invert the image, SCNR and Control and I to re-invert the image, and all that purple cast is gone. The rest of the image is preserved. And next up, I'm going to use a color mask to start pulling this into shape a little bit more. So yellow is the closest color to the bulk of this, the part that I actually want to edit, and I'm just going to apply one pass of mask blur to soften it off, as without that it's quite a granular mask, and with it we're going to get a smoother application. Just drag and drop that below, as you can see right there, and with curves on the generated image selected. I'm now going to manipulate the green channel for a start, so I'll just increase the size of this very slightly for you so you can see exactly what I'm doing. And if I just take the green and up it, you can see what the kind of effect that we're going to have right there. We're going to lighten some of these kind of coppery regions to more of a yellow. That's absolutely fine. I'm going to bring up the mid, drop the shadow end of things. You can see that's going to restore some more of that darker color, giving us another tone. So we've just added about 3 tones there from what was originally one large block of color. And do roughly the same sort of movement with the reds overall. So up the mids, down the shadows just very slightly, not too much on this. The main thing is, rather than getting caught up on what the histogram curves rather looks like, pay more attention to what's going on in the preview window right there. That's the most important thing. If your preview crashes, you may need to close and reopen. But going from this to this, and you can see in doing so, just a couple of curves adjustments right there, we've added a bunch more tones overall to this. There's now, discrete yellows, oranges, and kind of reddish regions too. So I think I'm overall pretty happy with that. I'm just going to raise that red mid value very slightly. Happy at that. Reset the curve transformation window. Close these down a second. I'm going to take off this mask. And now we want to make a final adjustment overall in terms of saturation on this thing, as it looks a little bit desaturated. I think it would be fair to say. The curves, once again, saturation, preview, and set this now. So just a slight raise is good. Next up, a final S-curve, as the image just looks a touch drab, perhaps. So by S-curve, what I mean is like an almost literally very gentle S shape. By raising the upper mids down there and lowering the bottom end just with 2 pips. You can see it's only a subtle change, but the effect, if we before and after it, is notable, and the image certainly looks better for it, I would say. I'm going to go ahead and apply that. overall quite happy, and I think at this point we could put the stars back in. So we're going to go starless on the starless image, stars on the stars image, just dragging and dropping, and rescreen on any of them. And at that, I think we've got just about completed SHO image. I'm certainly happy with the appearance of that thing in 12 or 13 minutes or something like that, including explanation time for a lot of these tools. So if you want to download that data, try work along with me in tandem, see what you pick up, see if you learn any new techniques or anything like that, and that would be absolutely fantastic. And like I said, if you want to show me your results, join the Discord just down below. I want to say a huge thanks to everybody for your support to me on this channel. It means an awfully great deal. And if you would like to support me in a really fantastic way, is using these links just down below for BlurXTerminator, StarXTerminator, and NoiseXTerminator from the fabulous Russell Croman. He's such a lovely chap, and he's made absolutely incredible tools for us all to use. And you know, the support you guys have shown me through that is nothing short of extraordinary. So thank you very much indeed to people who are going to use those links and people who have used those links. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Looking forward to seeing you in a future live stream or video, whatever comes first. Until the next one anyway, look after yourselves and clear skies.